And we are live on the United Public Radio Network, UPRN 107.7 FM New Orleans and 105.3 FM on the Gulf Coast. How cool is that? And we are also being live streamed wherever podcasts live. So we're not hard to find, including my YouTube channel. So go there and subscribe. To all those above me that watch over me, to all of you, my fave parapeeps, fellow experiencers, and brothers and sisters in Christ, welcome. This is Father Shawn's Paranormal Ministry. I'm your host, Father Shawn Whittington. I'm an ordained Catholic priest with the United States Old Catholic Church. I'm a fully professed brother and abbot for the Old Catholic Benedictines of Immaculate Mary, team member with Society of St. Benedict, and co-founder of GhostBegone.biz. And yeah, I'm that guy on Eli Roth Presents The Legion of Exorcists, which is currently streaming everywhere if you haven't caught it. And if there's anything you want to know about my wife and our ministry work, go to our website, www.ghost-b-gone.biz. If you go there to visit, there's a lot of cool things to see. Buy one of my books or both of my books. They're there. If you buy them off the website, they leave my office here. I autograph them, and they arrive to you in a beautiful house blessing kit. And you never know when one of those are going to come in handy. But you can also get the books a little less expensive at Amazon, and they also come in an audio version, which is super cool. But if you get them off of the website, part of the proceeds of every sale of every copy of my books goes to support St. Jude and the ASPCA. So how cool is that? There's also my online course there, Introduction to Spiritual Warfare, that you can enroll in if that interests you. If you feel a calling to that ministry. And there's also a place where you can make an appointment to speak with me about your spiritual issues. Most importantly, and trust me, brothers and sisters, I know times are tough, but if you happen to notice the donate button and you're able to do so, click on it and send my ministry in a small donation. My wife and I don't charge for our ministry work helping people with their paranormal issues. So trust me, it'll be appreciated from the bottom of our hearts, and we'll put it to good use. Okay, today's a great show. It happens every first Friday, and we call it First Fridays with Father Shawn and Annette. And today is super special because it happens to be our 1 year birthday being on United Public Radio Network. So how cool is that? So it was a no-brainer to bring on the producer who's responsible for getting us on that network. She's in the green room. She's going to be out here in just a moment. But first, I have to bring out my paranormal partner in crime. I've known her forever. I love her and respect her. She's super cool. She's a lifelong experiencer. She's the owner of Stellium Books. She's my publisher. Please welcome to the show the one and only Annette Munich.
Hi, Father Shawn. Hi, everybody. Thank you for the lovely introduction. A few weeks ago, I introduced you, and I forgot to say that you're funny. So I'm going to say P.S. He is also funny. And I'm just very happy to be here today. Excited about this
Funny.
show.
How am I funny? Am I like a clown to amuse you? Well, what movie is that from?
What movie is that from?
Goodfellas. You remember when Ray Liotta says to
Ray
Pesci
Liotta
in the bar, he says, "You're a funny guy," and Pesci gets all angry at him and goes, "How funny? How am I funny? Am I a clown to amuse you?" It's just a funny scene. You got to watch it.
Movie quotes. I love movie quotes. I forgot where I was, but we're very excited to have Michelle here, and she's such a sweet person, and she's the reason that we're at this network, and it's our 1 year birthday, so that went by really fast.
It did, and today is great because I haven't checked the mailbag in a long time. Pulled out a bunch of questions from the mailbag. A lot of fans and followers of her threw some questions at me this week when they saw that we were going to have her on. So I'm ready to bring her out if you are.
I am ready.
All right, brothers and sisters, you all know her, you all love her. She is also a lifelong paranormal experiencer. She's the host of The Outer Realm. She is a radio, TV, and film personality and one of the producers on this network. and responsible for getting us on this network. So God bless her. Please give a big, warm Paranormal Ministries family welcome to the one and only Michelle Desrochers.
Hi.
Welcome.
Happy anniversary. Woo!
Yeah.
1 year.
I
Woohoo.
know that's
Um,
crazy.
Where
Annette
did
got me. She threw that date at me, and I didn't know it. And then it got
it
me started looking at my calendar.
Yeah.
And in October, I will actually be celebrating 10 years of this show. So
Wow.
I think it's something fun to do on that day too. But I'm also giving away today some blessed medals to honor the occasion. So like we normally do with the giveaways, with the incense and stuff like that, brothers and sisters, if you're interested in some blessed medals for free, I will bless them here and send them to you. Just type in the word, well, your first name for sure. Type in the word blessed medals in the chat room. Later on tonight, Annette will take a look at that and she will actually do a drawing. And then she'll get back to me and tell me who won the blessed medals. And I will,
Blessed metals is 2 words, Father Shawn.
blessed medals. That's 2 words. You're right. Um, yeah. So Annette will
Okay,
take care of that
you could
later and I will get
you
them
could
off to you. Um,
type in metals, and
yeah, sure.
for
Yeah.
people that can't watch this show live, if you watch it later and you put in a message box on YouTube, if you type in metals or blessed metals, then you can be in the drawing up until midnight. We'll give everybody the whole day.
Very, very
Is that
cool.
good?
It's very cool. Very,
How
very
many
cool.
winners do you want?
You can give me a couple, 3 winners, and then I'll probably in October we're celebrating 10 years of having this show on air, and I'm thinking about giving away one of my new house blessing kits.
Nice.
Then so we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But yeah, if you want to send me 2 or 3 winners, fine. I've got a lot of blessed medals here because I give a lot of them out, so that's very
I think
cool.
I'll have a special surprise gift for that one too.
Well, Michelle, like I said, a bunch of fans and followers of yours, when they saw you were going to be on today, sent in some questions for you. We'll kind of do a Q&A thing. We'll also take questions from the chat room. So if anybody's watching on any of the live streams and has access to the chat and you want to ask Michelle, myself, or Annette a question, today's the day. And I also reached into the mailbag, which shame on me. I haven't been in a couple of weeks and I got a bunch of questions I pulled out of there. So that's how today will roll. Is there any announcements, Michelle, you would like to make to all your fans and followers about your crazy paranormal life?
My crazy paranormal life. Well, I've actually been pretty much not so much on hiatus. I still do clearings and such, but my schedule has not allowed me to get as deep into it as I used to be. Like I don't do public investigations or anything like that again anymore, but I do consult with people who are having problems. But I have a really big waiting list even there because I get hit up on my social media, all my social medias. So I am at that point where I'm just allocating and sending people off, trying to figure out who is in their regions that they can work with. So that's a good one for people to know because it gets very difficult, as I'm sure you know, to try to monitor a lot of different social media pages or emails and messages, and messenger gets like insane. So with that, and now we have there's 3 shows with the Outer Realm on Wednesdays and Thursday nights, but there's also Beyond the Outer Realm,
Oh,
which is a
cool.
daytime show Tuesdays, which
Nice.
I started to thin down the waiting time for guests for the Outer Realm, which was broaching on 4 months. So now I'm backed up 2 months on each.
I,
Same
you know,
thing.
I it's really weird. I just the other day I was telling Annette that I don't like to book too far out, and then all of a sudden I got inundated with all these people requesting to come on the show. So
Yeah.
I am actually completely booked up for the rest of the year, and I've even have 2 book dates already in January of 2026, and I've got 10 people
Mhm.
that I haven't even gotten back to. All I said to them in my return message was, "Hang in there, I'll get back to you." But I've
Yeah.
got 10 more people that want to
Yeah.
book, but it gets a little crazy because so much can happen between now and 2 months, let's say. And it very often when you book too far out, I don't know if you experience this, by the time you get to them, something's come up and now they have to reschedule.
Yes, ironically, it's happened to me the last 2 weeks. And I don't get that often because I limit myself at 16 weeks because I have 2 shows a week. So that it's hard to keep track of it if I go too far. But I mean, there are some people like repeat guests who like to return. I'll book them into the end of the year because they're like, okay, it's fine. But for new people, like, it's very difficult for them to wait that long. But ironically, it's just like the last 2 weeks. It's like, oh God, we can't make it at all. The schedule, conflicting schedules, or had to run out of town. And so it's exactly like that. And it makes it really difficult. Like, thankfully, I keep a waiting list, right? So people
yeah.
who are like, there's groups of people like, I'm good in a pinch. I'm like, perfect. And that's what happened last night. Thank you for being good in a pinch.
I'm not going to call anybody out, but I have that list too. I have a list
Yeah.
and probably 20 people on there that have said, "Listen, I
Mhm,
don't want you to actually book me because
mhm.
I don't know if I can actually make that date, but put
Yeah.
me on a list of somebody to reach out to when you get a last minute cancellation."
Yeah.
And I'm here to tell you how many I have yet to call somebody on that list, and I've called many of them last second who could do it. So you
Yeah.
put them on this list, you reach out to them. My guest for this week, now might be 24, 48 hours ahead of time. My guest had to cancel. Can you do the show? Oh, and then they can't. So
Right.
that doesn't work either. So
That's tough. It's a tough business, isn't it? This whole podcast thing.
listen, you're in Canada, correct?
I am.
I'm going to put you on the spot here.
Uh-oh.
I do occasionally get some people reach out to me with paranormal issues from Canada. I always let them know I'm here in Las Vegas, Nevada, so I can't come to you.
Mhm.
But um, and I'm not very familiar with the paranormal community in Canada. Would
Mm.
you mind occasionally if a Canada person reaches out to me if I throw them your way?
Absolutely. No problem at all. I'm always happy to redirect people. I do a lot of stuff remotely, and I just find that my schedule has gotten so insane. It's hard. I mean, because the type of, I think, people we work with are more on the malevolent side of things. I've spent 2 decades doing that, and being able to consult with people and assist people. And at one point, it was hard. I could do it in person, and I've traveled the world, and I've never had issues in dealing with people in my travels. But it gets harder and harder, and as the schedule because I do, what people don't realize is I do a lot of consultations for the creation of TV series or documentaries, films, things like that, and those become very time consuming. So when you work with somebody who has a malevolent situation going on, as you know, it's not just a flip of a switch. Like they can be very time consuming. You have to work with the family on so many different levels, right? And with your side of things, that goes even far further and beyond, because then you're getting into a lot of the faith and trying to bring people back to, you know, lean on your faith, because people
Well,
feel
even Annette too.
abandoned by their faith.
I hope she doesn't mind. I'll just throw this out there for Annette too.
Yeah.
I'll throw her out there. She's a lifelong experiencer, and
Yeah.
she helps people too. And
Mm.
her and I might put something out with, a handbook or something like that in the near future for that. But yeah, and I'm sure you get your fair share of people reaching out to you too.
Uh, in abundance, in abundance,
Annette, how about you, Annette?
Um, from time to time, a lot of stuff is kind of just general. questions, which I think, we were talking about doing the book, that the book would help with a lot of that. Occasionally I come across something that's more serious and intensive, of which usually my my part in that is to try to tell them how not to make it worse and see if we can get it, handled, or if they're going to need more help, because I think that some of the stuff people do in response makes it worse.
Yeah.
And they don't know that. But, well, you can't watch these paranormal TV shows and think, I'll do that in my house, and then be surprised when it becomes worse.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
Absolutely.
That's
But,
a big one.
like a lot of people, if you're investigating some haunted warehouse or something, that's different than what you would do in your own family home.
Mhm. I agree. I mean, what I don't think people always realize is when you are, for example, even if it's a benign location, or if you are in your own home, because I've worked with people who have had loved ones pass on, and sometimes they'll start doing EVPs in their home,
Mhm.
voice recordings. When you're putting out the invitation to communicate, it doesn't matter what the method is. Ouija boards get a bad rap, of course, but how about factoring in phone apps? How about factoring in a voice recorder? Can you show yourself? Can you speak to me? Can you communicate with me? Pendulums. I think it's the intention of making the invitation to communicate. And
Right.
now, even kids have access to Ouija board apps or just different apps, and I've had parents call me and say, "Oh, like, my child has downloaded this," and I say child, it could be, like 10 years old, 12 years old, whatever the case may be. It doesn't even matter. If they have a cell phone, they can watch TV, they can download it. And I don't think it's monitored enough. And I've worked with families who have had this problem. And then you've got this child going through, let's say, maybe puberty, who's already very heightened, and emotions are flailing around and easy targets. And they come in and they start playing with these things, and something comes in, and then it's like, sometimes people act fairly blasé about everything. Like, I've had one father say, "Oh, doors are opening, closing, footsteps are going around." It's like, okay, the child could be projecting energy, like psychokinesis. I mean, it happens. But other times it's something does come in, and then they wonder why things have gotten out of control.
Right. Well, and all of that stuff is actually an invitation and a desire to connect more, communicate more. So that's what it's going to cause. Because the one really bad house that I lived in, I had a second one that wasn't as really bad as the really, really bad house. But I've had like um, experiences since I was a teenager. So I think some of it's me, that I show up at a place and it makes like the perfect storm kind of scenario. Not that an ego thing, kind of,
No, but
but
you're a ghost magnet is what you're saying.
kind of, if something's
Yeah.
in the area, they'll think
Yeah.
I can see them or
Yeah.
whatever. But I got help in that one from a Native American lady, and I became very careful from that point forward. I had another lady that helped me in another instance, and she was half Native American. And both of them would say things like, when, never talk about this again in this house, never
Mm.
mention it. She said, we got to calm down. It's good here. Don't mention it. Don't talk about it in this house. And even we had Jim Segala. I'm from Skinwalker Ranch. And out here, we live by a creek. And behind the neighbor's house is an Indian burial mound. And we were talking about that on the porch. And my daughter started saying Skinwalker, the word Skinwalker. And I'm like,
Yeah.
like, there's just certain things.
Mhm.
We don't say it. Don't talk. I know it sounds superstitious, but the
Mm.
spirit world is all around us all the time.
It is, and I agree with you, and I'm sure Father Shawn will agree with me in saying this. Let's for a moment look at people who are grieving. People who are grieving so desperately look for signs from their loved ones.
Right,
And I've worked with multiple people who have done just this thing, and they start putting it out there and asking for signs. Something comes in that's not necessarily their loved one, and they accept
right,
it as being a sign from their loved one.
right,
Therefore, the invitation, the dynamics of the communication changes. And because they're grieving and they are distraught, with the emotions, it's feeding things a lot
right,
easier, therefore giving it power and strength. And the person who is in grief willingly gives that power over because they're just
right.
so convinced and relieved that they're communicating with who they believe is their loved ones. I mean, I had one woman with a horrific voicemail that was left on her, the old answering machines, and it was very vile. And
Wow.
she asked me to come over. Thankfully, she wasn't very far from me, ironically, and she was, "I need to know if this is my husband." And honestly, I just looked at her and says, "Did your husband like you?" And I wasn't being funny or facetious. I was just really curious because it was very growly and just like calling her vile things. I'm like, that is not your husband. But she never stopped doing voice recordings. It took years for her to stop and the healing process to begin. So she
Well,
was she was a hostage for a long time.
something interesting kind of connected to that is I used to be in the ghost box community
Hmm.
when the ghost box first came out, and I
Hmm.
knew Frank Sumption and
I knew him too. Wasn't he wonderful?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I have
and
one of his boxes. Yeah,
Steve Holte, and he did the Shack Cat.
yeah.
Anyway, I did not have one. I was just there for curiosity,
Hmm.
and some of the people in that group were using it in their house. And sometimes something really bad would happen.
Mm.
Like I remember back then we were using Skype and
Oh, yeah, the Skype thing.
Skype. And then one of the
Yeah.
guys, I'm not saying names, he's like,
Hmm.
could you guys get on here because I want you to hear this? And it sounded like a whole bunch of people, I don't want to say a whole army, but marching across his hardwood floors. And he was doing the ghost box in his house.
Hmm.
But when I bring that up because when you're doing things, you may not realize, like a lot of people think that the ghost box would just help you hear things that are going on around you, but it's possible that it calls in. And you can be bringing that into you, and not all of it is what you're looking for at all. It's all kinds of things. And
Hmm.
other paranormal tools are that way to a certain degree as well. So
Hmm.
you really need discernment. And like
Hmm.
you're saying, people that are grieving, their heart's broken, and they just want any kind of a sign or a communication. So whatever happens, they want to believe
Hmm.
that that's what it is, whether it is or it isn't.
Hmm. It's very common. I mean, I have spent a small fortune because I did media. I was often asked to do events to show equipment. Does it work? We've seen it on TV. Does it work? Doesn't it work? And I'd be like, don't waste your money. You can buy something, comparable for like $29.99. It's like, don't spend thousands of dollars. But also because of the fact that I love technology, and I think people are really brilliant in how they design things to help us all integrate within the paranormal community and try to find answers. There have been great pieces that have come out. I remember a conversation with Frank, and I've kept all my screenshots, everything. We just got talking, and one day he sent me a bunch of clips He says, "Here's, I want you to listen to some of my stuff." I said, "Excellent." And he goes, everybody thought I was trying to communicate with ghosts. And he goes, "I was trying to communicate with aliens first and foremost."
Right.
And I laughed and I said,
with aliens.
right? I said, "How would I know that?" I just, because it was brilliant. And a friend of mine who was very close with him gifted me with her Frank's box, because I had a different one that I had built, very like more sophisticated, but along the same lines at the time, because Frank just wasn't making as many of them. And then after that, the last piece I had built, I'm probably maybe one or two in the country, maybe two, who actually have a specific device. And I'll tell you something. I like how we can do things in reverse, right? Reverse speech. So when something's coming in and it's in reverse speech, they have to forward that speech in order to communicate. It makes it a little bit harder. But when I test things, I also like to make sure it's being RV'd, so I know exactly what's coming in around. And there's a whole process to that, with making sure, because people don't realize that it is a doorway. Why? Because you're initiating communication. I truly believe the power of intention and the power of the words you're using, there's the strength of your intention that you're putting out there in itself as a beacon.
Right.
Doesn't matter which device you're using. I think it starts with us, because we are powerful beings. We're beings of energy.
And we're curious.
Oh, yes.
And we love history, and we want to find out what happened there. And we love stories. All of that stuff. It's very, very intriguing. I love all that too. But you can get really caught up in it to the point where you're actually setting yourself up for
we're naive.
We're naive. We're naive.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I say, things will come in and it could hit you right in the face. Hit you right in the face. At the end of the day, okay, are you really paying attention to what is coming out? I have seen really seasoned mediums get in trouble without ever knowing that they're in trouble until it's too late. They're someplace, they're at a, they're going to be at a home, for example. And I've seen this happen. And this medium brought her 16-year-old son and wondered why all hell broke loose, literally within their home. And she's like, "Well, I'm very gifted. I would have seen this coming." Apparently you didn't, because here we are. So I don't know. Why is it that it's so, why are some people just so, I guess, like I said, when I say naive, I don't mean that disrespectfully. I mean, we really are. Like you say, we're curious. But sometimes we can be smacked upside the head, and I'm all for logical, believe me. But I mean, something could slap you in the face and was like, what is it? Just life keep you too busy that you don't recognize something when it comes at you? What is it exactly that causes us to be that way?
It's the story we tell ourselves about things, what we want to believe. And I have a friend, I haven't talked to her for a while, but she was a medium. She still is. And she went to help these people with a severe case. And she's a person of faith, very Christian. And she was going to take her Bible and go over there by herself. And I said, "Don't do that. Don't do that. Never go by yourself.
That's a tough one.
By yourself."
Yeah.
And then once you're into something, depending on what you're into, you can't really just abandon ship and leave, because now you've started up and made it worse and you're leaving a family in a bad situation. Well, she, her husband found her curled up in a corner of her den the next morning. She spent a week in the hospital after that.
Wow.
And I'm not an "I told you so" kind of person. but for everybody, you really shouldn't go by yourself.
Mm.
And no matter that you're a believer, and you might think, and that's wonderful to have faith like that. There's nothing wrong with that. But
Mhm.
you're so much more vulnerable when you're by yourself. Also, when you're by yourself, then when you try to tell the story of what happened, you have nobody there to back up what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's a big one, for sure. But I mean, by yourself in a building by yourself, or are you by yourself with a family?
Right. Which,
Right.
like we said before, is two different things. With a family in a family home.
See, that's difficult because that family is relying on you
Right.
to do things properly. And that's something else. Like I've often said, I'm all for. I like the para unity. I love that people come together and want to form groups. And I see a lot of bickering, that goes on. I'm like, well, we're all kind of in this together, so let's just do the best
Right.
job that we can do. you know and some people do better in public locations and doing events and you know than they do, let's say, working one-on-one with families. Like, I've had people, this is feedback that I've gotten from people I've worked with, by the way. I don't just pop this out of my head. This is people I've helped, like, hundreds and hundreds of people throughout like 20 years doing this. And it's like, some of the things I've been told were, well, people come in here and made me feel like I should be grateful that they're here. She goes, and don't get me wrong, I am, but it's like, it seemed more, it was more about the captures than it was about the family. Whereas
Right.
I'm sort of like, okay, thank you for entrusting yourself to me and entrusting your most precious thing, your family, to me. Let me take the weight for a little while, to sit back and let's just figure out what's going on. Even if there's nothing going on, something is leading these people to believe that something is going on. And it's your job to try to help them figure that out and get into a place, bubbly, to try to get into a place where they can feel comfortable in doing it on their own. I mean, I used to have an 18 to 24-month waiting period, like a waiting list, actually. And I would work with people online because I couldn't be there in person. And you know what? By the time I got to them, just in working with them, and them knowing that they weren't alone in it, that there was somebody that believed them. By the time I got to them, they're like, you know what? We got it. You taught us enough that we got it,
Yes.
because you empower people. That's what it's about. Empower them. Give them the tools to help themselves, because we're all going to be dead one day. you know, I would always say that. I'm going to be dead one day. You have to do this.
It's crazy, the perceptions of people, because I went to help on a case because, like, I usually just show up to help. I'm not a thrill seeker. I'm not a lock me in until sunrise girl.
Mm.
That sounds like me buying a ticket for PTSD, but
Yeah.
we had this guy. He had a restaurant. It was an old restaurant, and he was trying to remodel the upstairs, and he couldn't keep people working there because their tools would go missing, and little pieces of brick was being thrown at the guys while they were working. So whatever it was in there didn't like
Mm.
him remodeling, which this is a common thing. So we went there. We got some amazing pictures, but like you're saying, in EVP, it's not. If it's all about the pictures and the EVP, you're not really helping anybody.
Mm-mm.
You're only into it for what you can, get as far as evidence.
Mhm.
But so I just bring it up because of how bizarre people are. Because
When does it stop being about, like evidence? I think if you're very seasoned, I have learned, and I'm sure you guys, I mean, especially Father Shawn, has been in this type of investigations, for example. You know the right questions to ask. Sometimes the investigation, which attracts attention, because now you're there communicating or giving attention to this being, and then you go home, and then the being amps up, and when you're leaving the family behind, and essentially you're just like, well, you wanted to talk to me half an hour ago, and now I want to communicate. That's the way it's going to be. So I'm going to raise all this havoc. But, like, I know the right questions to ask. and you read people, you get an idea of what's going on. It's just like, okay, you know what? I'm not going to go in there. I never felt the need. I stopped actually investigating and just started listening and just started, like I would still do the home visit. I would just kind of toss a couple of recorders around just to see what I picked up more stuff from not communicating with anything but the living, right? And after that, it's just like it doesn't matter because I'm not there for them. I've had other researchers get a bit disgruntled who have brought me on. They're like, "Oh, there's stuff's going on." I says, "But I'm not here for that. I'm here for this family. I don't care what it's doing. I'm well aware of what it's doing, but I'm here to support this family, see what they have to say about it, how they're feeling. That's the end of it." And the people on my team kind of sat there and laughed because they've been through the drill and we've gotten more results that way. We're not there for this thing. It doesn't matter. It's just validating. It's giving us all the evidence we need because we're experiencing it in the moment with this family because it's being ignored. And
And
then we take the process for removal, right?
it's okay to make some boundaries and say that out loud and quit feeding it your attention and your emotions. And, I have in the past said, I know people, I'll have you driven out. Do not scare me. Do not scare the family. I realize you're here. I will pray for you. And then stop talking because the only way to backpedal out of a situation that's getting out of hand is to stop kind of feeding it in any way, shape, or form and draw a line.
Acknowledgement is empowerment.
Yeah.
That's what it wants. Its sole purpose is to get your attention away from that family because then it's not about the family. And all you're showing the family is that you're not there for them. You're there for this other thing. Like I'm not Father Shawn. I'm not going to go in there like, all right, it's time to just kick your butt out. Like I'm there to to sit there and have, I'm there for them. And I've had the best results. And then you look at removal. And we've done tons and tons of those. So it's just, I believe in mindset. I believe in empowerment. I believe in making it about the living. I'm not talking human spirits. I'm talking about different ethereal beings, maybe aggressive human spirits, whatever the case may be, but in that moment, I am there for the family.
Right.
Well, there's such a huge difference between residential cases and commercial sites. Like people that do a lot of ghost hunting aren't very good in somebody's home trying to help and flip it around. Like very rarely, I can't even remember the last time I went ghost hunting. I don't really do it anymore, but the last time I went as a favor to somebody because they were giving a tour of an allegedly haunted place, and they thought it'd be cool if you just showed up and followed around. And I really felt being at this commercial place with a bunch of paranormal investigators and ghost hunters, I felt out of place because that's not really my thing anymore. So I think people should know what they're best at, and if they're uncomfortable going in somebody's home, they shouldn't do it because you're right. It's a big difference, and people look at me like I'm crazy when I come over to their house, and I'm trying to teach them how to take their life and their home back from whatever it is that is turned their world upside down, that they can't see whatever that is. They are so surprised when I try to explain to them, I have no magic powers. I don't have a magic wand that I can wave and make it all go away. You and your family are truly the ones that have the power to make this all stop and go away. I'm just going to really put my arm around you, draw a line in the sand with you, and stand with you. But I'm going to try and teach you guys how to fight back and take your lives back. And people are just so um, surprised sometimes that I come at them that way. And then there's people that don't want to hear it at all. They're like, no, I don't want to have anything to do with trying to get whatever's here out of here. That's why I called you. So do your thing.
Mhm.
And they don't understand that. Sure, we can go that route, but I guarantee you it's going to come back because they're not on board with taking
Mhm.
their lives back and taking, like you
And
said, the empowerment.
It's important because these are people's lives, and I think investigators, for those who don't, because there are so many amazing investigators out there, they all get it, but there are those who really don't, and you're dealing with people's lives. You don't get to go stir stuff up and then leave
right.
the family
And
to pick up the pieces. That's not fair. It's not even humane.
sometimes there's stories that are really sad and really heartbreaking.
Mhm.
And in that case, sometimes everything quiets down if a statue is put outside with some flowers, some kind of a recognition for that person, that they lived, that they were there, what they went through.
Mhm.
And outside of the house, of course, and some kind of a marker and tribute to their life.
Mhm.
Sometimes that is what they're looking for and what they need. And that gives them the little bit of dignity for what they suffered and endured, and
Mhm.
can quiet it down.
100%. It's about giving people back their lives. It's about um, putting them in control because we do control that. But I think you just get beaten down to the point where you are made to believe that you don't have any control because there are forces there that keep you down. And that's what they primarily are there to do. So you have no fight left in you. The job of a good researcher is to empower the people, help the people, give them that strength, put them back in charge, and give them the strength again to be able to fight, put the fight back in them.
And that's so hard too because they never get tired and you're emotionally spent. You're exhausted with it.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. 100%. So,
Annette, I'm going to ask you. You said something earlier today. Is the house that you're living in now in Oklahoma the one that has the Indian
Yeah,
burial mound? Oh, I
yeah,
didn't. Have you told
yeah.
me that before?
I mentioned it, but I never told the whole story. But we have a creek along the left hand side of the property. The guy next door who's not been at his house, and I've not been back there to see it. Um, there is an Indian burial mound. It's Creek Indians, which of course, if I could go back there and see it, I probably would not, and I would just leave well enough alone. But having said that, I've seen UFOs here a couple of times, and we've had a few unexplained things happen. And also, I'm just very careful and respectful, and certain things I don't say. And I will pray for whatever's going on the property. But, I could go out there and try and see if I can get anything. Oh, we also took pictures one night of the blue moon, and we had all of these orbs in the pictures that you couldn't see with your naked eye, but they were all there by the creek. Obviously, here in Oklahoma, the Native Americans would have been living by a creek the size of this because, you know,
mhm.
that would sustain their life. It's not a lot of um, water places around here. So um, we're kind of in between the Indian burial mound and the creek. I'd be really surprised if, nothing ever happened here considering that, but it does. I don't feel like something's mean. I don't feel like something's always here. I
Mhm.
don't feel like that. I don't feel scary. I just don't egg it on either. I don't poke it with a stick either. I just,
If anything, I think you'd be protected because they were very protective of their space and they worked with a lot of elemental spirits and earth
mm,
spirits as well that would protect the land. So you're probably very protected.
Do you get being up in Canada, Michelle? I don't know if I've ever asked you this question before. Where do you
I don't say where I live, just saying.
where do you stand on the whole Bigfoot thing? Do you get into cryptids at all?
Oh God, yeah. We get into a lot of cryptids. We have cryptids up this way. We have
Big time.
dogman type beings, which of course, in Canada they're called, the native people will call them loup-garou. We have, the wolves that walk upright. They look a little bit different. We have one not too far that would fit more of the dogman persona and build, that kind of thing. Bigfoot, we have tons of them. Tons of them. So many stories about Bigfoot and Dogman. Um, large black cats. In fact, like we have our government to be like what would be your state people. We have provincial organizations that they track these big black cats. There have been evidence of them. So even as elusive as they seem to be in this worldwide phenomenon, we actually track them. That's what we do up here in the north.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So it's funny. I had a guy reach out to me the other day, and he said the reason why you're not going to believe me. I'm like, you don't know. I never.
I might.
He goes,
Yeah.
but I reached out to you because I know you've probably seen a lot of weird things, and you're not going to believe this. But he was. I want to say he's really like somewhere in the deep south, but he's out in the middle of the wilderness, walking down just some trail that he's making. He thought it was a game trail. He says, I kid you not. I saw a spider the size of a Volkswagen Bug, and
Okay.
he goes, and I'm never going out there again.
Wow.
You don't know what's out. I believed him. I mean, this guy was like law enforcement,
You
and
gotta watch.
wasn't into. Yeah, I was like, are you now? Could it have been a? I started going down the list. Could it have been a buffalo? Could it have been a mangy
Oh,
dog? Could
they
it have been?
have them, the big spiders. Okay, I don't know how far Nevada, like where you are, would be for like, where Utah. You have New Mexico, then you've got like Nevada. I think, right? Is that how
Yeah,
the dynamics is?
that's about right. Yeah,
Because Don and Darren Yazzie, who do Don't Whistle at Night, it's indigenous from the Navajo Nation, and they bring together indigenous people from all over the world who want to talk about it. I love how indigenous people are coming together. And anyway, I had him on my show a couple of times. He talked about in Utah these giant freaking spiders that are about the size of a freaking car. I'm like, okay, see right there.
yeah.
I don't even like
No,
spiders to
thank
start
you.
with.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
neither.
So I believe that guy when he said that to you because they have them. So where are they coming from is what I'd like to know.
I don't know. You talked about
Skinwalker Ranch. That's in Utah.
Yeah.
And right by that, they have that Blind Frog Ranch. There's
Yes.
a lot of weird
Well,
stuff.
see,
in
the
Utah.
Navajo Nation is about maybe 3 hours away from those
Right.
places. So it's all the
Right.
same mesa. They're going to have
Right.
the same.
Right.
God,
So
Well, the
spiders.
guy asked me what he should do. Should I go and hunt this thing? Should I ever go back out there again? And I said, listen, I'm not going to tell you what to do. You're law enforcement. You know how to use weapons, and you're also a hunter. You do you, boo. I said I wouldn't go.
Okay.
Um,
Let's think
uh,
for 1 minute. Okay, Shawn, let's think for 1 minute. How do spiders have babies and how many do they have?
I don't even want to talk about it anymore. I'm
Okay.
getting
Yeah. 5 foot,
goosebumpily.
5 footers.
oh,
I'm going to go after this thing. Uh-huh. Maybe there'll be a cave with another like 100 of them. Like you just don't know. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's just
You just don't
crazy.
know.
It's just
Yeah.
crazy. Not me.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see your paranormal partner in crime showed up, Amelia. I haven't
I
talked to Amelia.
know. Every now
I
and then
wonder
she comes out of hiding, pops
hi,
her head.
Amelia.
Shadow gnomes. I don't even like gnomes to start with. I can imagine shadow
Wait.
gnomes.
Well,
They
you
have
mentioned
stories
elementals
in here.
too. I believe in the elementals. I don't know what they are, but
Mhm.
it's like I've
They're
told
earth
people this
spirits.
story. I get that when we moved, Sharon and I moved in here 20 some odd years ago.
Mhm.
We had the biggest tree in this neighborhood was in our front yard. And I tried to, I took really good care of it, but for some reason it started to die. I did everything I could to try and save it.
Mhm.
Eventually it died. And so then I have this huge dead tree. And then it started to fall out of the ground towards my house. And I started to panic. If it fell on the house, it would probably take our master bedroom out or one of our cars. I didn't want it to fall the other way towards my neighbor's house or out in the street where it would hit a kid. We have a lot of children playing out there. So I went out there And I did, of course, pray to the Holy Family, but I also prayed to the elementals and dug a hole and put a lot of offerings
Hmm.
in the hole and said, listen, if there's any of you around here that can help out with this issue, please
Hmm.
do. But I also prayed to the Holy Family because there was a lot of what I would say elemental activity happening prior to that. I kid you not. There's a big windstorm came, and I'm like, this. I told Sharon, get ready. Let's sleep in the living room because
Yeah.
I think the tree's coming down tonight. But in my prayers, I said, don't let it hit my house or my car or a kid or my neighbor's house. We woke up the next morning. I kid you not. It was like something had lifted the tree out of the ground, moved it over slightly, and then gently laid it back down
Wow.
right in my yard,
Wow.
missing my car, my driveway, just short of
Kids,
the sidewalk,
neighbor.
kids,
Yeah.
neighbor. I was like,
Wow.
thank you, thank you,
Wow.
thank you, thank you. So there's,
Mm.
there again, intention.
Yes.
I was taking authority, but I was also being respectful,
Hmm.
and my
Yeah.
intention was out of respect and praying to whatever was there,
It
and
works.
maybe something with the offerings too. I mean, you name it, that's in that hole out there. Tobacco,
Yeah.
candy, money, holy blessed metals, holy
Yeah.
water, blessed salts. You name
Mhm.
it is in that hole. But I
Yeah.
think there was something to that offering, to giving back. Who knows?
Yeah. I'm a big believer in mindset. And elementals, I think, tend to be a little bit misunderstood as well. They could be highly aggressive, but Native American people worked with them and did not necessarily think so. I have an elderly friend who worked with them pretty much regularly and, sort of found a knack for it and, taught me how to do that. And our team has never had a problem with elementals. Can they be aggressive? Oh, yes.
Yeah.
But I think if approached properly, um, you can definitely work with them. I mean,
Well, I thought for a little while there, it was even peeking through my doggy door because I had dogs at the time. And at middle of the night, I'm watching something at 3 in the morning, and I see something peek through my doggy door at me. I reached out to a friend of mine in Hawaii, and I asked him if he believed in the mini hoonie. And of course, he did. He gave me this whole story about the mini hoonie. And I'm out in my gardening, and I find this unusual rock that didn't fit the area at all. And I brought it into the house and asked Sharon if she had ever seen this rock before and if she knew anything about it. She goes, "Oh, yeah, that's the rock I brought back from Hawaii when I lived there for many years." I'm like, "Oh." I said, "Did
great.
you know you're not supposed to bring stuff from Hawaii over to anywhere else?" Well, I didn't know how to ship it back to or who I would ship it back to. So here again, I just carefully took it back. I put it in the nicest area of my garden I could find,
Mhm.
and I just started, you know, putting offerings around it and say,
Changing
Mister,
the energy, right?
yeah, Mister
Yeah.
Rock,
Yeah.
because we were having some weird things happen in the house. Once I started doing that, I stopped seeing whatever that little thing was that kept peeking in my doggy door at night. It stopped doing it. So I don't know. I mean,
So, I mean, rocks have energy. Soil. I'm terrible. I bring back soil and rocks from every part of the world I've been in. I'm terrible. It's just like people like, can you bring me? I was in the haunted forest of Romania. Can you bring us back a little bit of
Ooh,
soil? Yeah, yeah, sure, no problem. Just passing it all around. It's terrible. I'm naughty that
well,
way.
listen,
that sounds very cool.
I have to get you back on here because we're almost done.
I'd love
And
to.
We
that
didn't
was,
take any questions from the mailbag.
I'm just going to save them for next week when you and I do open mic with Father
It's
Shawn.
the it's
I'll
the
save them all
quickest
for next
hour
week.
of the week. It's the quickest hour
Michelle,
of the
you
week.
know I love you and respect you, and thank you so much for getting my show on United Public Radio Network. And next time you talk to Joe, tell him I love him and respect him too, and thank him for me. And anything you want to say to all your friends and followers before I kick you out of here?
Yeah, you guys are doing a fantastic job. And we appreciate you and we appreciate all your efforts. And we're looking forward to another wonderful, amazing year and many more. So I'm going to leave it right there. I'm going to thank you. I'm going to thank everyone in chat and sayonara.
I'll
Thanks
see you
so
later,
much.
okay?
That
All
was
right.
great.
Thank you,
Enjoyed it.
Michelle.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
How fun
All
was
right. So that was great. We got to get her back on. I just know she's like one of the busiest people on the planet. I hate reaching out to somebody and asking them, and then them wanting to say, "Listen, I'm slammed. I don't know if I can." So I hate putting people on the spot, but we had to have her on today. But I will see you next Friday, the 8th, and it's a open mic with Father Shawn and Annette. So I will have the mailbag ready, and we will also take questions from the chat again. But it's just you and me next week, kid. Are you ready for that?
Hey, I'm ready. And today was so great. What a great conversation. Interesting. The hour goes by so fast. And we had somebody saying, I just love this show. When you guys on? We are on Fridays, 5 o'clock Eastern. And you can watch us a lot of different ways. So wherever you saw the ad for this, keep your eyes open because we come back every Friday.
All right. I love you. Have a great weekend. Thanks for being here. Couldn't do it without you. You and I will talk before next Friday, but I'll see you next Friday.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for listening. Have a great night and a great weekend.
Annette Munich, owner of Stellium Books, my publisher. If you have written a book or want to write a book and you don't know what to do, reach out to her. She'll help you with it. She'll help you get your book written and get it published. That's what she does. So, and I'm working on my third one, and her and I are working on one together. So that's who you want to reach out to. I want to thank UPRN, United Public Radio Network, for carrying the show. God bless Joe Montaldo. God bless the awesome Michelle Desrochers for making that happen. And thank you to each and every one of you for tuning in. Trust me, I know I don't have a show without you guys. So thank you very much for all of you tuning in. Do you got God? Well, if you'd like to join a church that accepts everybody, and I mean that, everybody, take a look at the United States Old Catholic Church. You might be pleasantly surprised. And if you are already good with God, but you feel a calling to have a closer relationship with Him, reach out to the abbot of the Old Catholic Benedictines of Immaculate Mary. That would be me. And you and I will talk about your calling. Maybe the Benedictines are in your future. All right, what else do I want to say to you guys? Remember, brothers and sisters, the devil may be right about what we did, but we are not who the devil says we are. And stay tuned. We're just getting started here on High Strangeness Fridays. Spirit Switchboard with Carrie Lynn Shellhorn is next. And I want to take this opportunity. I'm waiting for somebody to reach out and wants to be a sponsor of the show. So good night, Danny. Good night, Jack. Good night, Dog. Good night, Harold. Rest in peace. Good night, Ernie. Good night, Bill. Good night, Dan. I love you all. God bless you all in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Peace.